Hey drummers, and those aspiring to be drummers, and those just curious. This is actually just another video that isn't necessarily just drums. It really is for nearly anything. Um, but this is my experience with music and drums and percussion. Um, it's very important that you strive to become a person who is um, adhering to some of these ideas here. People will probably, you'll get more gigs. Probably people will want to work with you more if you do what I'm about to tell you to do. Maybe if you're in school, maybe your teachers won't be so mad. Here's a story. I was in an orchestra, a youth orchestra. Um, I think I was like 13 maybe. And of course, I wasn't driving because that would have been illegal in the U.S. The I got to the first rehearsal, and a friend's mom was driving us in her, Dodge Caravan, as you do in those days, and it was kind of a tricky place to find, and we were late. Very first rehearsal, we were late. Now at least to my 13 or 14-year-old self, it seemed like there was like just 100 people or 75 people in the orchestra. Some of them were college students. I was definitely I was on the young side for that particular group. And for some reason, I don't think that the friend that I went with, I think it was she played bass, and I think there was another friend that played cello. I don't remember if we all drove together. Somebody took us, and I was late, and I don't think they were detected, but I was detected. The conductor said, "Hey, why were you late?" Looking around, he said, and I'll never forget this. This is why I'm making this video. "I'm not talking to the wall." Can you imagine that if you're like 13 years old and there's like 20-year-olds in this group? How mortifying. Your very first time ever going to this thing. I don't know what to expect. And yet I was put on the spot. Now, in that case, it wasn't necessarily my fault for being late. I wasn't driving. I didn't have to deal with the terrible traffic during rush hour to get there at 5:30 or whatever time it was, and not knowing where to go and all those things. I did learn a valuable lesson those days, and that conductor also said something like early is on time is late, and late is unacceptable. So that's something that you should keep track of in your playing. If you're consistently late to things, it's not going to go very well. It doesn't feel very good. This is just easy to, especially if you're a drummer. You got to bring all this drum equipment in. Now, over the years in school and things, maybe I would have been late, and I remember a band teacher was not very happy with people, but I mean, why was the school having us come in at 6:45 in the morning? That's ridiculous, but that's another topic. A little bit of a issue in college, I think. That got quickly fixed. And but I do remember a few different gigs I did. I am just generally paranoid about not getting to where I need to be by a certain time. I don't like sweating through my clothes, especially if you're wearing nicer clothes for a gig. I don't like that feeling, and so I like to be on time or early, because early is on time according to that conductor. Now, I have a few different examples. One time I had a gig. We had to drive from our area. It was probably about maybe with no traffic, it was about an hour and a half. During rush hour, going through multiple pretty large cities, you can easily get pretty hosed on that stretch. And I wasn't taking any chances, so I had to be there at I think it was 6:30 or something, and I think I left work with my drums at 3. I think it was something like that. Now I got to the gig probably an hour and a half before I even had to load in. Now that was kind of an extreme situation, but I mean, I had a lovely time walking around. It was on a college campus. We were playing for some organization of a college, and I was just looking around, looking at what was happening. Maybe I got some coffee. I don't really remember that much. What I do remember is my band, the people coming in the band. I think they came in. Well, there was the bass player, and there was another car, and then there was 1 or 2 other bands. They were coming from this other area as well, and there had been a big car wreck which shut down the freeway. And I think we had to be there at 6:30. I think they got there at 6:25 or something. There wasn't much they could do about it. It wouldn't have felt very good. Now I was as cool as a cucumber. I let the guy play my drums and in the other band, which I wish I would have known that he was gonna dent the tar out of my heads. He's one of those kind of drummers. That was a bummer. Don't do that to my drums, son. But I didn't know that. Oh well. And then I had another example where I had a half-hour gig. Yeah, I did a lot of 45-and-a-half-hour gigs. And my joke was always well, you have to get there about sometimes an hour ahead of time, because you have to be able to park, you have to be able to move all your equipment, figure out where to put things, get situated. So you're getting there well ahead of time to play for a half hour, maybe 45 minutes if you have an extended gig. And then 15 minutes to tear everything down, and I'm using my brushes here, to get everything out and drive home. So maybe your half-hour gig's 4 hours. That was at least some of my experience with some of those. I mean, you get better with time, and if depending on the area you're in, or if there's equipment already at the venue and those kind of things, or if there's traffic. But one time I was going to this gig, and I didn't know that there was going to be quite an extensive amount of road construction in a really difficult area to drive. Anyway, whoa, there goes my son. Yeah, he's outraged at the traffic as well. So I was sweating. I had a drum cart, and I was pushing my drums around. I think I probably pushed my huge drum cart, at kind of a bigger drum cart, at least a mile to get to the gig. I was actually 15 minutes late to my half-hour gig. That did not feel good at all. That was a terrible feeling. We saved it. The band leader was not super happy with me, of course, but he was like, okay, let's just move on with it. And I still got hired, because I normally would show up consistently on time, early, and be prepared. So those are some of those things. Early's on time is late, and late's unacceptable. I just encourage you to be that person, kind of no matter what you're doing. If it matters. Now, if you're moving a bunch of drums around, it probably matters to get there early. And so I hope this helps you. Maybe you already knew this. Good for you. And I hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.